some outlets are saying that Oregon is the number 1 team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But the 5-5 is finally here, Spencer. Oh, goodness, here we go. And more changes to the college football calendar. We cross it over with Ducks, Nittany Lions, and Hoosiers.
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The band is back together, the three amigos, as we cross it over with Locked On Ducks, Locked On Nittany Lions, and Locked On Hoosiers. I'm Jacob Goins. We got Zach Seyko. We have Spencer McLaughlin as well, and a loaded show today because there are more changes coming to the college football calendar with spring and fall practice, plus possibly some transfer portal changes, plus the 5-5 is here. We're all excited for that. But some people on three say that Oregon is the number 1 team in the Big Ten according to their offseason power rankings. And me personally, I don't understand where the heck they're coming up with this idea. I mean, how in the world could you not put the defending national champions at the top of the Big Ten when all they did was reload and the roster could be better than it was a year ago? That's all I'm saying. I don't understand.
The simple and incredibly logical explanation from one Ari Wasserman that put this particular list together that has Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, and Indiana at 3 is that nobody wants Goins to be happy for any longer than he already has been.
Are you and Ari best friends? Did you guys put this list together? Like,
I am going to plead the fifth. I'm going to plead the fifth on answering that.
I'm surprised about that.
We're gonna get to that too.
I never thought On 3 would put Penn State in the top 5 here. Never.
I don't even think it's about the team for Penn State. I think it's just about what the record is going to be at the end of the year, which is not how you're supposed to do a power ranking in my view. But with regards to Oregon, with regards to Oregon being there at number 1, yeah, you can look at the way last season ended and say, well, how could they be ahead of Indiana? And they and Ohio State, well, Oregon actually got further than Ohio State last year. Like, should they really be there because of all this sort of stuff? And to me, the answer on paper is unequivocally yes, because I think on paper roster talent, which is certainly not everything, it's just a starting point, not an end point. I think Oregon is a touch ahead of Ohio State in my view, just because the Buckeyes lost so much more from last year. They still have, don't get me wrong, a top 3 roster in all of college football. It's Ohio State, for goodness sake.
There.
Yeah, we really are. I just think the deciding factor there to me is Oregon has greater continuity than Ohio State, with some of their star players being back from last season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So, yeah, Ari Wasserman, ball knower. That's what I see.
Well, let me jump in here. Let me jump in here from this angle. What quarterback would you take between Josh Hoover and Dante Moore? I would take Dante Moore. Yeah, running backs.
Oregon,
wide receivers.
Indiana.
Indiana.
Charlie Becker.
That's where it gets.
Come on now.
That's where it gets hard.
They did get Nick Marsh, and they have Charlie Becker.
That's true. I also like
5 receivers in college football.
Indiana added Shaz Preston too, right, from Tulane.
Correct. Yep,
yeah, that's a really good trio. Oregon has 2 former 5-stars and a borderline former 5-star as their top 3 wide receivers going into this year, with J-Mac, DeCorian Moore, and Evan Stewart. And Evan Stewart looks to be fully healthy. Yeah, I think the wide receiver conversation between the top 3 is
we're splitting hairs.
Is really fascinating.
I understand the argument though that Ohio State and Oregon are bringing their quarterbacks back. Like that you can't overlook that. And so I will take the cream and crimson glasses off for a second and understand where they're coming from. But I think Josh Hoover can be just as good as those guys. Absolutely can be just as good. And I also look at the defensive side of the football as well. I think Indiana will have the nation's best defense again. I think it could be better than it was a year ago, guys. And Brian Taines is still in Bloomington, and he's still the best defensive coordinator in the country. So when it comes to power rankings, everybody does them different, right? Everybody has their own method that they go with, I guess. But I just see it difficult to not have the defending champions at the top until they give you a reason not to put them there.
That's tough. because they changed so much, right? They lost the guys that made them the national title winning team.
Some of the guys.
Some of them, yeah. I'm not saying that's a completely rebuilt team, but your quarterback, your running backs, how much of the offensive line? Okay, you keep the receivers intact. I can't speak too much about Indiana's defense, but again, if you do the debate, whose defensive line would you have? From what I know, I would take Oregon's defensive line. I would take Oregon's secondary. I would take Oregon's linebackers probably. I would take Indiana's coordinators, but the composition of the roster, aside from debating the wide receivers, I would take Oregon's position groups across the board compared to Indiana's.
I'm just adding Zach Seyko into my list of ball knowers here, and boy,
Your
tell
audience loves
you
me,
guys.
So
You
this
guys,
is how
that's
I
true.
genuinely feel. I'm not
That's
just
why
trying to.
Seyko's talking good about Oregon. He knows the Oregon fans like him, so he's just feeding into
I just
that.
gotta.
That's what's
play.
happening here.
Yeah.
It's all a vanity ego play from Seyko, or alternatively, he is serving as the neutral arbiter of college football in this particular chat. He is in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, for our YouTube fans, you are seeing that. Our audio listeners, not so much. But,
I mean, you think about the debate shows over the years, like when Skip and Shannon were on, the moderator was right in the middle.
I mean, Seyko.
But they were ready to throw hands. Are you guys ready to throw hands?
I'm always ready to throw hands with Goins. That's not even a question.
Break it up.
I just booked a flight to Big Ten Media Days just so I could throw hands.
100%. We're going to stage this Locked On Fight Club in Chicago.
Downtown Chicago on the bridge. We're making it happen.
Yeah.
Seyko, as I put the graphic back up again, our YouTube viewers can see this. The power rankings from Ari Wasserman of On 3. Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Indiana 3, USC 4. There's Penn State at 5. And I think you said it, and we all agree. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm kind of
I'm more than a little surprised. I don't have any beef with Penn State. Anybody that lets Oregon beat them twice in big games is all right by me. Penn State and Wisconsin, man, I love those programs. I'm all about them. I just don't know from a roster standpoint with the outgoing number of guys that went with James Franklin to Virginia Tech, and you import a lot from an Iowa State team that was
that good. Those were a lot of backup and role.
There was a lot of but there was talent on paper there that just wasn't, necessarily put in the right positions to succeed, and a lot of things cycled in that way. But here's the real point I want to make on this for Penn State, and the way I see it, Seyko, is you bring in a lot of guys from an Iowa State team that was respectable in the Big 12, which we know is not as good of a conference as the Big 10. I don't know how that translates up to being number 5. And again, Ari might have made this as, a play of who's going to have the best record by the end of the year, in which case that's kind of valid. But if you're talking about which team looks the best on paper, no, I think USC is ahead of Penn State. Michigan should be ahead of Penn State. And frankly, I think Penn State's probably a lot closer to Iowa. As crazy as that might sound, Iowa's going to be Iowa every single year. And I think that if you gave Penn State a more difficult schedule, I don't think that they would be put in this particular spot.
Yeah, it depends on how Ari decided to put the power rankings together. I mean, I think it's a cluster of anybody can emerge, because Penn State is not massively behind USC. They're right there. They would be at a maximum a touchdown underdog on the road at Michigan. Early spreads are in the field goal range either way, right? Washington, Michigan, and Penn State, I think, are also, that's like 5A, 5B, 5C. I'm willing to concede that's that fair. Here. But to say that Penn State, or to assume that, because they brought over a bunch of Iowa State players, that they're probably the last team you would think that could emerge. I don't think that's the case, because they kept a lot of the talented Penn State players. And now you're merging those two sides. Good players from Penn State and a lot of the best players from Iowa State. These aren't the backups and role players from last year's two teams. And Iowa State, for what it's worth, was a Big 12 title contender the year before when everybody was healthy. And then they were a favorite going into this past season, but then they were ravaged with injuries. The difference now is they're going to have a lot more depth going into this season. So injuries happen, part of the game, but that's why I see this Penn State team being competitive, being able to beat USC, Michigan, Washington. Can they do it? Yes. Will they do it? To be determined.
As much as it pains me to say this, and Oregon fans, I'm sure, will give me plenty of flack. Right now, I would not take Penn State to go to Husky Stadium and beat the Dogs. I take Washington to win that game.
Ooh. When is that in the season, Seyko? Where is that in the schedule?
November.
God, Indiana does the same thing, man. We go to Washington in November, and I'm scared to death.
They can. It's not like Washington is a 10-point favorite there. That is a field goal game right now as it stands.
Man, that's another.
Is that
team.
what it's at over at FanDuel? It's a field goal.
It is based on ESPN's ratings projection. So if you match them up to Washington and Penn State, and then you craft the spread out of that, it would be
ESPN.
It would be 3.5 Washington.
Squat.
Okay,
man,
numbers don't lie.
You got to check,
but they don't
check
out
whole... Spencer's Sportsbook.
Spencer's
for the.
Are you paying to have that?
What line are you offering for that game?
Right now, let's see. I'd probably go Washington minus 6.5.
Ooh, man!
Can I buy 7? Because I like I want the half point for that just in case. But I would take Penn State.
Would I give up the half point? No, probably not.
No, I wouldn't do it either.
I got to go.
Probably not. Rules have got to be laid down.
Well, hey, another rule did get laid down. How about 5 and 5? It's here finally, and we discussed what it means for college athletics right after this on this crossover.
First, this episode brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The biggest stage in world soccer is here, and every match feels like it has the potential for a memorable moment. One goal can completely change the energy of a game, shift momentum, and alter the outcome in an instant. That's what makes tournament soccer so exciting, from the opening whistle to the final kick. Now FanDuel is giving fans another reason to stay locked into every match, with every goal pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. More goals means more bonus bets. All you have to do is turn on your token. And if you wanted to bet anything Oregon related for this upcoming season, their win total is, 10.5, one of the highest at all in college football. And if you wanted to bet on any individual games, guess what? Oregon lines are out there right now. 17.5 for Oklahoma State. Do you think they're rolling them 69-3 again like they did last year? 66-3, I don't even remember. It was such a big number. They definitely covered on that day. Whatever you're feeling, college football, the biggest stage in soccer, or otherwise, FanDuel has you covered. From the opening whistle to the final kick, let there be goals on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com to get started now. Check them out at FanDuel.com. Thank you for making this show your first listen every day. If you tune into every episode and want to level up, check out our Locked On Everydayer Club. For $5 a month or $50 for the year, get access to ad-free audio on podcast, access to our members-only Discord chat, and other perks as well. Click the link in the description of this episode and become a Locked On Everydayer Club member today.
All right, we continue on with a Locked On crossover. Spencer McLaughlin of Locked On Ducks, Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. And gentlemen, 5 and 5. It's here. Finally, we have a rule in place by the NCAA that says no more 28-year-old basketball players, no more redshirting, no more craziness. You apply and enroll in college. You have 5 years to play 5 years, and it will be in place for now the 2027 recruits, right? Everybody in college right now, it's a little murky. They can choose which system benefits them the most, but it's when you enroll in college or you turn 19, whichever one comes first. And this might be, Zach Seyko, something that could save the NCAA. Hopefully it saves college athletics, if nothing else.
I don't know that it saves the NCAA, but at least you just provide more structure to what we have for the time being until the Super League happens. So that's a separate conversation in itself. But college-age athletes should be playing against college-aged athletes only. Okay, 19 to 24-year-olds should be.
How dare you say that? How dare you?
I loved watching Brandon Whedon play for Oklahoma State once upon a time. And that's what people brought up. They said, "Oh, well, you can't have it. You got to make a decision then. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think that you should be able to go play baseball, pursue that career. You don't make it far enough, and then you have NCAA eligibility. So now you can come back and be almost 30 years old,
yes,
and play against 18, 19-year-olds. You come on, man.
Which by the way, that's not a hypothetical that Seyko is making up. That has happened at SMU.
Yeah.
They added a wide receiver who was in, I believe, the same recruiting class as Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know, the guy who's gotten a second contract from the Detroit Lions.
A big-time contract, too.
Yeah, a legit contract.
Yeah. God. That's like, it's just, it baffles me that it took this long, right? It took this long for the NCAA and the powers that be to come together. And I think they knew the answer. They just didn't want to hurt people's feelings, but they finally got tired of being slapped around, pushed around, and just shoved out of the way. And they've put this in ruling now. They've put it in writing. It's going to happen. And do we have any concerns about it being actually executed and them actually being able to keep this in line, Spencer?
Yes, just because everything seems to get challenged nowadays, and the amount
Isn't
of
there already a lawsuit?
Already is.
Yeah, the amount of time that college sports, athletes, coaches, fans that are consuming news have to spend literally or metaphorically in a courtroom, I don't think is an enjoyable place for everyone to be at. And this would just simplify everything, and I hope that it gets implemented. There's a downside for players that have multi-year injuries. For those guys, it certainly stinks. I hope I don't sound like I'm being too much of a lay down the law sort of guy when I say that's just life sometimes. Yeah. And that's, learning a life lesson might not be the worst thing in the world. But yeah, no, that definitely stinks. It's just that, are you guys big foodies, or is that just me?
I mean, I love.
Shouldn't everybody just
well,
like?
Because some people have sensitive stomachs. Some people are picky eaters and whatnot.
I'm a foodie, yeah.
Anyway, I love Italian cooking for many reasons. It's one of my favorite international cuisines, and
we get it. You went overseas for like.
I didn't even. First of all, I didn't bring that up. Second of all, I didn't go to Italy. I'm making a completely separate point. Gosh almighty. Now you see why Fight Club's going down in Chicago. In July. But Italian cooking fundamentally is very simple. It's elite, high level, and it's just about quality ingredients, but it only uses a few. Like cacio e pepe is my mom's favorite pasta dish, I think. The sauce that goes on the pasta is cheese, pasta water, and pepper. That's it. There is nothing else. Simplifying can be really, really good. And I think this is a move to simplify everything in college sports for coaches, for players, for families, for fans, everybody involved. And I think that's what I like about it the most is it just very clearly lays out. You can delay your clock with a religious mission, pregnancy, or military service. Nothing else. No exceptions, no waivers, no applicate, nothing. That's it. And everyone's going to play by these rules. And I think it's one of several ways that the sport could be improved if we just make the rules uniform and a little bit better. We'll talk about another one later. But yeah, I love this idea.
That Italian recipe you mentioned sounds a lot like Indiana football this past season. Sounds like Signetti coaching.
Simple but effective.
Yep.
Hey man, go back and watch film. Indiana doesn't run anything crazy, but they
less
just
practice and
no,
result.
they run zone and back shoulder fade
to perfection.
And Alabama does not like that. They do not like that it is not complicated.
But no. They knew what was coming. They just couldn't stop it.
They knew it was coming.
They knew what was coming. They
knew it was. Though I feel like that's more Indiana offense, whereas the Indiana defense is much more Asian cooking that has got so many ingredients, and if you pull it off and get the right mix, it is spectacularly good. But it can be hard.
Be at the top of your game to pull.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not any regularly trained chef can just roll out and be like, sure, I'll just go make some sushi. Like, no.
Michelin star restaurant over here is Brian Taines' defense at Indiana. Are we a fan of this eliminating red shirts? Because that's what this is going to do in turn. The 5-5 eliminates red shirts.
What's the difference?
It's basically giving everyone a blanket red shirt year.
Which I think is fine. I'm so happy to not have to worry about, well, this guy's a redshirt freshman. Or we got redshirt juniors and things like that. I mean, it's just, and I think Isaiah Hole made this point on our last Locked On Big Ten Squad show. It's like, yeah, you can come in for 3 or 4 football games and then redshirt. And like, man, aren't we just tired of having to keep up with all that? Imagine the coaches having to keep up with all that. That's exhausting.
I mean, it adds one more year to, I like that guys can just play. There's no debate for a red shirt, and then you get the extra year, right? You get that 5th year of competition. So that was a no-brainer to me.
I think that's being overlooked too. Like we're looking at it from people not benefiting from this or being hurt from this, but how many players who won't get hurt or don't have family issues, like you said, Seyko, they're gaining an extra year of college athletics. I think there's a lot of
where they can actually play, and as you guys touched on, the coaches don't have to finagle this game of like, oh, he can't go into this game because if we put a true freshman in on special teams, oh, we burned his red shirt. Like that stuff is just I think annoying. I have to imagine that coaches are in support of all of this for that particular reason. And look, what I'm curious to see is once this is fully implemented and it starts in earnest with the 2027 recruits right now, like that, where it will apply to every single player in that recruiting class. Who's going to be the first guy to play all 5 years at the same football program?
It's probably somebody on Matt Campbell's team. If I had to bank on it, it's probably a
guy who plays at least some meaningful role as a true freshman and then decides to use his 5th year to play for that team, and he's actually there for 5 years. I don't know, but someone's going to do it. I don't think it's going to be a common occurrence. I think it's going to be very rare, quite frankly.
A kicker.
Yeah.
I mean,
a kicker. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What about a quarterback? What about a wide receiver?
I feel like when the draft comes calling, you pretty much got to dip out. You know what I mean?
Between draft and portal, if you're playing for that many years at a program like any of the 3 represented on this show, then you're probably going draft.
Yeah. I feel like at a small, like non-power school, it could happen if you're just like an average player at, I don't know, wherever, right? You could just hang out.
Washington or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Iowa, I think it could happen at those types of places where, and stop me here before we move on, kids might go back to actually doing this crazy thing of getting their college degree. They might actually like go and get their degree, go to class, walk the stage, get their diploma, hang it up in their office. Like, I mean, what a crazy idea.
They don't come here to play school, Goins.
It's a great reference.
I think we'll also see a lot of some more athletes graduate early. They'll do 3 years at an institution and then 2 at another.
So I wonder if you graduate in 3 years. If you want to play the next 2, can you just be playing football and not go to class at all? Because holy smokes, I know that metaphorically, a lot of guys have done that.
You need to get a degree.
You'd have to go back for your master's or whatever. You know what I mean? You would have to still be enrolled, I would think.
Yeah, I would think so. I was just envisioning a potential dream scenario for some kids where they are literally just playing college football and they have no schoolwork to do whatsoever.
Essentially, that can be the case. Drew Aller was taking 1 3-credit class.
But again, essentially is the operative word. I was thinking of, could you have 2 full years where you just play football? You make
your
NIL.
Job is NIL money. Yeah.
You make NIL dollars. You're hot stuff on campus, man.
Yes.
That'd be a vibe.
It can happen. You just take the 3-credit elective dud class, and how many of those can you, because I won't go too much into this, but you can take summer courses, right? The idea was to basically have your fall semester as low amount of credits as possible, and then load up in the summer, load up in the spring. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So as long as you're eligible, but I do know that some of those seniors, especially graduating in the winter, would take 1 final elective class. And then, because Drew talked about that a ton. Didn't really play into his favor, but he talked about, how my schedule's just devoted to football. I got 1 class. That's it. So I can be in this building so much more. Didn't really help them.
I bet you the latest recommendation for that, 1 elective class you take for Oregon players is now Japanese, because that is now important. Oh, do you guys not know? Oh, Oregon players are, as we're recording the show, they're in Japan right now, and they are teaching football essentially, and because Oregon's Oregon, they put Dante Moore on a billboard in Tokyo.
That's actually kind of cool. That's actually kind of cool.
It's just like just because. And Tokyo, awesome city.
Yeah. Shut up. Okay, we got to move on. That's another cool place you've been. We get it, bro.
I was only 6, but yeah.
still went there.
did.
There was a lot of talk of spring, winter, summer, fall, whatever. That all revolves around the calendar. And we have some changes that could be coming to the calendar for college football in terms of practice and the portal as well. We talk about that in our final segment.
First, this episode brought to you by our friends at Odoo. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. You don't want to be all over the place. You don't want to have one thing over here and one thing over there and one thing right in front of you and you're trying to coordinate the logistic. I'm getting a headache just thinking about that. And I don't want that for you and your business. I want you to have the best system possible. And that is why you should get Odoo. Great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's odoo.com/lockedon to check out Odoo today. Check them out at odoo.com/lockedon.
All right, final segment on this Locked On crossover. Ducks, Nittany Lions, and Hoosiers. And as of this recording, these are all proposed ideas. Don't think they've officially been voted in yet. The feeling is that it's going to happen, but just the idea of it is pretty fascinating to me, guys, because we're trying to make more changes to the college football calendar, limiting practice time and also shortening the transfer portal window. Seyko, are you a fan of less practice days, but in a basically the same amount of window, you just have fewer practices and then limiting the transfer portal down to 10 days for college football?
The transfer portal thing stands out to me more. That I think that's crazy. Going from, because I've seen how many coaches talk about it as speed dating, and then there's what's tampering? The Big Ten doesn't want tampering because it's defined weirdly. You're just going to get more of that. You're going to get more tampering. I think 15 days was fine, or there needs to be an early contact period or something, and then an actual transfer portal. So there needs to be two separate things, maybe a contact period. And then the actual.
I think that's
I
think that's been mentioned. I don't know how far it's gotten, but I think the pre-portal contact window has been mentioned.
10 days is outrageous. 10 days to figure out how to build a team.
Oh, and did I read too that it's going to open on the first business day of January? Was that the language that they used? And so aren't we going to be in the same scenario where teams like Indiana, Oregon, possibly Penn State, who are competing in a college football playoff are still going to get screwed?
Yes, 100%. Because I think the idea right now is that if they implemented this for next year, it would open January 4th and close on the 13th. And there's your 10-day window. And you look at that and go,
terrible.
It's not solving the problem whatsoever that Oregon dealt with last year when everybody and their mother, it felt like, was going in the portal, including guys that would have played in the semifinal against Indiana. Now, there weren't any starters in the portal, just to be clear. Just as one example, though, Jaden Lamar made an impact play out of the backfield against Texas Tech, and he was not with the team for the Indiana game in Atlanta. And oh, by the way, Oregon got devastated by injuries at running back. And was Jaden Lamar elite? No. But was he solid? Yes. And Oregon could have used him because he was experienced. Because Jordan Davison was out. Noah Whittington could barely move on one of his feet. And then you had De'Ara Hill, and then Dink Riggs got hurt. But then you lost Jalen Lamar and Mekhi Hughes, and those were two of your more experienced guys that could have at least given you a better spot. And Jay Harris hit the portal, but then decided to play in the game to up his own stock, which, legend and everything. But I don't like the vibe that introduces to the entire team. And it's not the reason why Oregon lost. It is still a common sense measure we should all look at and go, This is not okay. Stop having roster management and construction take place during the season. We don't need to rush all of this.
When do you have it, though?
After the season.
After the season.
Okay. The day after the Natty is fine with me.
It's because of the academic calendar, and I'm not trying to don't forget about the student athlete, but I kind of am here because you're going to have people transfer in February, March when this is the complication of being college football.
I've never liked that particular argument as to why the calendar can't change, because when push comes to shove, we make exceptions for it in the sport all the time. When your coach leaves, like when Chip Kelly left UCLA late in the cycle,
taking classes to get a degree from an institution.
No, hold on. When he left, all of his players became eligible to hit the transfer portal, even though it was the middle of February, and some guys did in fact leave. And if your coach were to get fired, you can then leave. And suddenly, in that scenario, when we absolutely have to, all of a sudden, we can have guys changing teams and programs even though it doesn't line up with the academic calendar.
I mean, I don't like that either. I'm not saying that exception should exist and others shouldn't. I'm saying across the board, just I hate to be I guess the nerd in this instance, but I just think about it from an actual, a school giving out degrees, and you have somebody that is there for class one day, doesn't finish the class, and then shows up at another institution and is ready to take classes and get credits. You know what I mean?
I don't think
complication.
I don't think the world is ending when that happens. You're probably going to have just as many kids that come to your school as leave your school, and I don't think it's making a significant financial dent for any of these schools. And if you need to hire a few more compliance people, then hire a few more compliance people. It's not rocket science.
That's where I think, and I've talked about this idea for quite some time because Spencer was actually getting to this in the previous segment. I think we're going to get to a point in college athletics, football and basketball particularly, where you do have a quarterback show up to play at Oregon, and he's just there to play football. He can vote and say, I don't want a degree. I don't want to go to class. I don't need that. I'm going to play football. I think there is a world where that will happen, where athletes who are good enough and don't want a degree, you can debate whether that's a good thing or not for a life and adult and things like that. But why force them to be in school if they can just show up, get paid, and play semi-pro football at the University of Oregon, right? I think there's a world for that, and that would eliminate all of this.
I mean, everywhere else in society, we give people the freedom to choose, and that includes the choice to choose something that isn't in your own best interests, right? I mean, look at the transfer portal. There are thousands of kids every year that I was talking to someone about this the other day who is a Division II football player, and he said, yeah, I know a bunch of guys that went in the portal. They never found a home. And I said, what are they doing? He said, they're just done playing football. They're staying at the school that they were just playing football for. They no longer have their scholarship honored, so it costs them a bunch of money. And now they just are going to school and they're done playing football. And you know what that is actually called? A life lesson. That the grass is not always greener. Enjoy where your feet are at and appreciate everything that you've got, rather than trying to make your current situation better and seeing the negative in it all the time, or thinking that that's not any different than how adults act in society, right? Because someone has a job and then you see them leave and go, oh, I wouldn't have left that job if I were you. Then that person doesn't find another one. It's no different. And so if college is about maturing and becoming an adult and doing all this sort of stuff, and this is easily the most philosophical I've ever gotten on a podcast before, then that's what we should just give people the right to do. Is it like, if you want to have the right to go screw up your potential future there, well, I'm not here to stop you.
Seyko, take us home, my friend.
Does the institution allow that? Because again, they're the ones that are hosting these athletes, and Oregon football players are talented, but they're only Oregon football players because of Oregon. Same thing with Penn State, same thing with Indiana. If it wasn't for the institution, so why do the players get to decide, hey, this is what I want to do with my academic and athletic career? And those institutions should allow it.
I would say because they're the moneymakers. They're the ones that are bringing in, on top of the student body, the normal student body, yes. But I just think we're getting to a point where college athletics are so much bigger and separate from the academic side of any institution. I just think they need to be completely separated. I think that's the road, which sounds so crazy. It sounds so asinine. but I think there's a world where it could happen. So we'll end right there on what was a very fun crossover edition of Locked On Ducks, Locked On Nittany Lions, and Locked On Hoosiers. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels across YouTube. Follow us on your audio podcasting platforms. Again, Spencer McLaughlin with Locked On Ducks, Zach Seyko of Locked On Nittany Lions. I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers. We will do this again very soon. And until next time, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.